Hello everyone, welcome back to another Let's Solve Tactics video. So last time I had reached 2245 and I remember that I was struggling, and in the last two videos I have got some problems wrong each time. So clearly the problems are harder, and yeah, let's see how I do this time. Okay, so black to move. If you would like to solve it along with me, pause your video and later you can continue watching and see what I came up with. Okay, so first thing to notice is he attacks my knight, and which is pinned now. Another thing is this pin on the e pawn, so queen takes f3 is possible, which will also defend my knight, and he cannot take my queen. So that's my first candidate. Is there anything else I should look at? Let's see, rook takes e2. Does that do anything? Rook takes e2. We can even go queen takes e2. So don't think that leads to much. Okay. After queen takes knight, what can he do? He can take, I can take back. Uh, yeah, not sure what he does, but I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so far so good. Didn't see this one. Okay, so now he is attacking my queen, but this pawn on e2 is attacked twice by my rook and queen and defended once. So rook takes e2 comes to mind. Any other options? Hmm. Yeah, my knight on uh, g4 is still pinned. So any method that I choose to save this queen has to also keep protecting this knight. I like rook takes e2. What does he do? If he just moves his queen, then I think we are okay. If he takes, I can take back. I'm gonna do this. Okay, take back. Okay, we start with one correct problem. Okay, let's keep going. Black to play. Okay, so I think this position is roughly equal material. I think white has one pawn up. Uh, I have an opportunity to take twice on d5, so take and take, uh, and try to win a pawn, but that wouldn't be wise because then he would have bishop h7 uh, check at the end, winning my queen because it'll be a discovered attack on my queen. So he'll open up his rook against my queen. So, okay. Another important important pattern that I notice is this lineup of the king and queen on this diagonal. So bishop c5 comes to mind. Bishop c5 pinning the queen to the king. What would he do then? Of course, he would take. Okay, he would take with his rook. Okay. Hmm. So yeah, at least nothing is obvious. I see one more idea. I think there might be some combination of these ideas might be correct. So basically, this queen and this rook are also lined on this diagonal, and maybe I can have some combination of knight takes d5 and bishop g5 to use this skewer idea. So let's see. So what are my candidate moves? Rook takes rook is one candidate. Knight takes d5, knight d5. Taking the knight is one candidate. Bishop c5 I don't think is a candidate because we refuted that with rook takes c5. Okay. Uh, yeah, those are the ones that I at least see right off the bat. So let's look at rook takes rook. Rook takes rook. He can recapture on c1, or he can throw in a check, capturing my bishop or knight. Yeah, if he captures my bishop, then I don't think I win anything. Rook takes c1, knight takes e7, check. queen takes e7, let's say rook back to c1, rook takes c1, and I win nothing. Okay, so that doesn't work. So that more or less eliminates rook takes c1. I think knight takes knight probably has to be played. So knight takes knight. Now he can go either rook takes c8, or he can go knight takes knight, pawn takes d5, which is the more normal continuation. So if he does that, what's my follow-up? If I go bishop g5, he might have rook takes c8. So looking at knight takes d5, e takes d5, bishop g5, rook takes c8. That won't work for him because bishop takes e3 is check. Okay. The king will move, and I could take on c8, and I'm doing very well. I have an extra queen at least. Okay. So knight takes d5, rook takes c8. Knight takes d5, e takes d5, bishop g5, rook d8. Rook c8 doesn't work. Okay. What if knight d5 and directly rook c8? This. So here in this position, I would be okay. I'm down an exchange, but if I just take his queen, he takes my queen. I take on d8. And if I'm not mistaken, in that position I have got an extra piece, so that also will not work. So knight takes d5, e takes d5, bishop g5. Yeah, seems like it might work. Okay, I don't know if rook takes c1 first does anything. I don't think it does, so I'm gonna, yeah, play knight takes d5. Okay, and now bishop g5. Okay, f4. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought about it. I thought we just take. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, black to play. So some kind of interesting, I don't know, end game, middle game, some position with a locked pawn structure. Okay. Uh, so what's the material balance? I think I am down one pawn because white just captured on b5. Okay. There is a lot of pressure on f4. That's one thing I noticed. My bishop and queen are looking at it. It's also defended pretty well by white. Defended 3 times. The knight on b5 is hanging for the moment. Okay. h4 check is a resource I have available. H4 check is something I can throw in at any time. Okay. Not sure what else. Okay. In terms of candidate moves, I think H4 check is one. Uh, Just trying to think if there is any way to take advantage of this hanging knight. Bishop back to c6. He just goes knight d4. I don't know if I have accomplished anything. Okay. Yeah, I really Don't say any too many ideas. Okay, the uh, king and bishop are lined up, so maybe some queen d3 to pin the bishop could be something. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, not at all sure so far what's going on. So okay, I'm gonna start looking at some moves. Queen f3 check. He just takes. Even if I throw in h4 at some point, it doesn't do anything. So queen f3 is out. Queen g2 check could be something. Queen g2 check. Queen takes g2. h4 check. But again, he has king f2, so that doesn't work. h4 check right away could be something. h4 check. King takes h4. What's my follow up? Uh, Bishop g5 check. King takes g5. I just am having trouble getting my queen involved in the attack. Like somehow my queen needs to be around here. Okay. Queen takes f4 is obviously nothing. Queen takes e5. I don't think it is anything. Queen sacrifices in general I don't think will work in this position. Uh, hmm. What about bishop g5 on the first move? The idea would be to go h4 next. Does that do anything? So let's say bishop g5, white takes, and now h4 check, king h2. Okay, let's think that one through. Bishop g5, fg5, h4 check, king h2, queen takes e5 check. Bishop f4 though. I don't see what I'm achieving. Bishop g5, fg5, queen e5, bishop f4. I'm not getting anything. Hmm. Queen, bishop c6, knight d4. Still don't see anything. Wow, I'm really stumped. I have no clue what moves to consider. I must be missing something. Okay. Queen e3, bishop e3. No. Queen d3. It's such a slow move. He can do whatever he wants. Back to bishop g5, fg5, h4 check, king h2, queen e5, bishop f4. Don't see anything. h4 check, king h4, bishop takes f4, queen takes f4. Still don't see anything. Queen h1. Does that do anything? Queen h1. I really don't see the point. Okay, well, I'm not gonna waste mine and all of yours time. I'm gonna just play something. Okay, incorrect. Just show me the answer. I don't have any clue. Okay, so bishop g5. Okay, h4 check. Okay, queen h1 mate. Oh lord, that's too bad. I saw bishop g5 and h4, but didn't consider queen h1. Wow. Yeah, few people get it. Around a third, 34.6%. Okay. Wow. Bishop g5, threatening h4, queen h1. Just totally missed it. Kept looking at queen takes e5, which doesn't do anything. Okay. Well, That's the first incorrect answer for this session. Let's see. Hopefully there are no more. Okay, white to play. Queen h5 check suggests itself. Queen h5 check, forcing king e7, queen f7, king d6, and knight c4 mate. I think queen h5, king e7, queen f7, king d6, and knight c4 check mate. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Okay, let's continue. White to move. Of course, it's extremely tempting to take this knight with check. What else do I have? What else is going on? Yeah, I'm down some material. He has like 3 pieces against my rook. So queen takes g6 check, of course, really tempting. If he goes to h8, then I have king h1, which forces him to take my rook, which is nice. If he goes to f8, then what? Do I still have king h1? King g1, sorry. King g1, no. Maybe. No, there has to be something else after that. So queen takes g6 check, king f8. Queen h6 check. King e7, queen h7, queen f7. No. That's not correct. I have to get my rooks involved, which obviously I'm not able to. After queen takes g6, king f8, if king g1, then maybe queen takes g4 check though. And I have to trade queens. Oh, right. Okay, I see the point. So queen takes g4 check, queen takes g4, bishop takes g4, rook h8 check, and when the king moves, I take this rook. I think that is correct. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Now king g1. Okay, check, and win the rook. Okay, that one we saw all the way through. Good. Let's continue. Okay, the white king looks very uh, short of squares, but he's also threatening queen h7 mate. Bishop g4 check suggests itself. That's the most natural move. Yeah, and I should start there, I think. So bishop g4 check. If king d2, then queen e3 is mate. Yeah, okay. So bishop g4 check, king d2, queen e3 mate. Okay. So bishop g4 check will force knight back to e2. Okay. Knight back to e2. Now, to avoid getting checkmated, I probably need to keep checking him. So I will look at bishop takes e2 check, which more or less forces king takes e2. Okay. And now maybe queen g2 check. King has to go to e1 or d1. If king e1, Then bishop g3, king d1, queen f3, check, king d2, queen e3, mate. Or am I wrong? I'm wrong. It's not mate. The knight is no longer there, so his queen. I could trade queens. Okay, let's look at the material situation here. White is up a piece, huh? White has an extra knight. Oh, okay. So bishop g4, knight e2, take the knight, he takes back. Queen g2 check, king e1, bishop g3 check, king d1, queen f3 check, king d2. Oh, there I have bishop f4 check, winning his queen, forking the king and queen. Okay, okay, I got somewhere. So bishop g4 check, knight e2, bishop takes e2 check, king takes e2, queen g2 check. If king e1, then bishop g3 check, king d1, queen f3 check, king e2, bishop from g3 to f4 check, forking his king and queen, and he needs to lose his queen. Okay, so that's pretty good. So now we just have to look at king to d1, f1 or d1, sorry. After bishop g4 check, knight e2, I take the knight, he takes back, queen g2, now king d1 directly. Does it transpose to the other line? So queen f3 check. If king d2, then bishop f4. So king e1, and yeah, I have bishop g3 forcing the king back to d2. Okay, I think I got it. Take, check, check. And I think the idea is after king d2, bishop f4. I will quickly make sure of that. Yeah, bishop f4. And we win the queen. Okay, good. Let's continue. Black to play. Okay, I'm 1 pawn down, but this pawn is pretty far advanced. I think this is what we need to use to try and win this endgame. So, of course, d2 immediately does not work. He will take. So the rook needs to be involved. Either rook behind the pawn, but then rook d2 more or less stops my pawn. Or I can think about some move like rook c8 with the idea of going, threatening mate. Okay, that's the first thing. It threatens mate. So he has to do something. He can go rook a1, or he can push one of his pawns. So f3, g3, h3, or f4, g4, h4, something like that. So he pushes one of these pawns, or he goes rook a1. So let's consider rook a1. Rook c8, rook a1. Then I believe I have d2. And now, no matter what he does, I have rook c1 next. So for example, rook to f1, rook c1 will force a queen to appear. Okay, is that right? Rook c8, rook a1, d2, king f1, rook c1 check. Yeah. Okay. And if king e2, I can promote. Okay. Yeah. So rook c8, rook a1 doesn't work. So he has to push one of these pawns. Let's say f3 to also assist with the king coming close to the pawn through f2. Okay. Get rid of this arrow. How do I do that? Okay. So rook c8, f3. Now at a minimum I have rook c1 check, king f2, rook c2 check, rook takes c2, d takes c2, king e2, queen. So that wins. g3, will it win in the similar way? So let's say kings, rook c8, g3, rook c8, g3, not the same. What if rook c2 directly? Rook c2 directly. He cannot take, but he could go rook a3, let's say, d2, rook d3, rook c1 check. Yeah, I do feel pretty confident about rook c8, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, g4. Okay, so kind of similar to the line we just were looking at. So now the question is rook c2 or rook c1 check. I feel rook c2 because rook c1 check, king g2. I don't think it helps me. Like my rook being on c1 doesn't assist my pawn moving forward. So rook c2, he moves his rook somewhere, either a1 or a3, I think. a1, then rook d2, king g2, rook c1 will force the pawn to promote. So rook c2, rook a3, d2, rook d3, rook c1 check. Yeah, I think this is correct. Rook c2, rook a3, d2, rook d3, rook c1 check, king g2, and queen. And he takes and I take. Okay, so here. Okay, he goes for the passive route, d2 and rook c1 and take. Okay, that's pretty nice. Let's continue. Okay, some endgame where we are only having knight against the rook, but we have this nice passed pawn. Okay, black to play. So obviously the first question to ask is what happens if I push d2. He cannot go rook d7 because then I can take. So after d2 he has to play rook back to a1, I believe. Okay, then what happens? Does that help me in any way? Let's see. d2 rook a1. I need to try and control the d1 square, I think, to try and promote. So maybe knight d3 check, right? Knight d3 check, king e3 though, king e3. If knight b2, then king takes d2. That doesn't work. Okay, just looking at other options. Other than d2, what else do I have? Can I finesse this somehow? Knight c4, rook d7, d2. Just thinking, there has to be some way to use my knight to fork his king and rook, maybe in some variation. But where do the pieces need to be for me to fork them? I don't really know. d2, rook a1. What smart move can I make? Knight c4? d2, rook a1, knight c4. Let's see. d2, rook a1, knight c4. Basically trying to go knight b2 to control d1 square. He can already go rook d1 if he wants. But in this position, I'm kind of holding the pawn, at least for the moment. Somehow not looking right. Don't know if this is going to be another one of those. Okay. Where I don't get the answer, that is. After d2, rook a1, what are my options? I think I really have to consider candidate moves here. Knight d3 check is 1. Okay. Moving my king, I don't think it does anything. He plays rook d1 and eventually takes my pawn. Knight d3 check, king e3, knight b2, king takes d2. Okay. Getting some idea that if I can lure his king to d2 and his rook to a1, then I need my knight on b3 to fork them. How do I get my knight to b3 though? Is the question. I don't know if that is the right idea, but it's an idea. Other than d2, what other first moves do I have? Knight c4. Knight c4, king. Not king. Rook d7, d2. D2, rook a1, knight d3 check. King to e3, d1. Queen. Rook takes d1. I don't even have any checks against the king on e3. So maybe knight c4 is the right move. After d2, rook a1, knight c4. Rook d1 though. Rook d1. Rook d1, then what? e5 check. e5 check. King. Let's say even g3. I don't know. Knight c6 on the first move. Knight c6. Rook d7. And my pawn is gone. I'm gonna play d2 and hope for the best. Okay, now I have no clue what is the next move. Okay, what to do? I mean, I don't think queening right now does anything, does it? Queen right now, he takes it. I go knight d3 check. He goes wherever. So clearly it doesn't work. Knight has to move, I feel. And it has to move in a way where it threatens promotion. Like, at least in the next move. Oh man, I don't get it. Knight d3 check, king e3. Knight takes f2, king takes f2. Knight d3 check, king e3, d1 queen, rook d1. Knight d3, king e3, knight b2, king d2, knight c4 check, king moves wherever. Knight c4, rook d1, e5 check, king f3, e4 check, king takes e4. No, none of it is working. Some other move maybe. Knight f3, king takes f3, doesn't do anything. Knight g4 doesn't do anything. Knight d7, rook d1 doesn't do anything. Knight c6, knight c6, rook d1, knight d4. No, no. Hmm. Oh, I got the idea. Okay, this is very clean. I mean, I don't know how many of you actually watched it so far, but knight d3 check, king e3, and now knight c1, blocking the king's rook's path. Now when he takes, I go knight to b3, forking the king and rook. Wow, that's nice. I'm really happy I got it. Oof. Okay, that was a nice puzzle. Wow, that was nice. Okay, fine. Let's continue. Um, White to move. Okay. I don't have a queen in this position, so I have a rook and bishop for the queen, which is not bad at all. Okay, but the king is a little bit kind of on the side, like black's pieces are not helping it out right now. So maybe that's my hope to create something. So some kind of check, either a rook check or a bishop check. I feel like I probably have to create some mating net around the black king. Uh, okay, so rook e6 check is a candidate, bishop e8 check is a candidate. Even some quiet move like rook f1 could be a candidate. Okay, if bishop e8 check, rook or king f 6. Now what? Rook f7 check means the king comes out. I don't know if that is correct. Rook e6 check. Obviously, he cannot go to f5 because of uh, then discoveries and winning the queen. Rook a6. Okay. So rook e6 check. It will force the king to go to either h5, g7, f7, h7. So a lot of options. But okay, if he goes to h5, then starting to look very promising. G4 check, king h4, rook takes h6 mate. Okay, so rook e6 check. He cannot go to h5, cannot go to f5. He has to go back to the 7th rank. Okay, so let's say rook f7. Sorry, king f7. Now rook f1 check, bringing the other rook into the attack. Now he goes to g8 or g7. Let's say king to g7. Rook to e7 check. Now he can go back to g6. If he does, what do I have? Bishop e8. Yeah, that is mate, I think. Okay. So I'm going to play rook e6. I feel pretty good about that at least. Okay, well, I my good feeling was not based on correctness. Okay. So I'm just going to ask for a solution. Let's see what is the correct. Probably something simple. Okay. So creating a mating net and taking his queen. Wow, just rook f1, huh? Let's look at that again. So rook f1 threatens bishop e8, huh? Wow, should have seen that. It was part of my candidate moves, but yeah, got kind of indisciplined. Okay, Black to move. Let's see what's happening. I mean, what's happening is he's attacking my queen and my rook twice. So it's a tough situation. I can take his bishop. I can consider taking his bishop. He probably takes my rook with check. Yeah, that doesn't look right. Okay. But if not, then what? What's the material? Let's see. The material balance is, I think it's more or less equal. I probably have an extra pawn. Okay. Knight d5 is a move, forking the bishop and the queen. So he most probably has to take my queen. I take his queen. No, he can, if he takes back, I take back. Maybe we are okay. What other moves can I consider? Is giving up my rook with check really an option? I don't think so. Queen takes knight doesn't make any sense. Knight d5, queen takes d8, check can also be played. So knight d5, queen takes d8, check. Queen takes d8, knight takes d8, knight f4. Yeah, that situation doesn't look appealing. Knight d5, queen takes d8 doesn't look good. I lose an exchange. Bishop e5 is a move, but I think he can just take at a minimum. He could also, after bishop e5, take the rook with check again. Queen takes rook check. I have to take. He takes back. Oops, no, he takes on d8. And I take on f4. And it's more or less the same kind of result. Is there something else? What else? Queen takes f4, queen takes d8, check, king h7. I mean, it is okay, but yeah, no, I don't believe that'll work. Okay. Tough problem, tough problem. Just moving my queen somewhere. Queen taking rook, I don't think makes sense. He takes back. I don't know what's my great follow-up. Queen to c8. Again, queen takes d8 check, winning my rook for nothing. So really I have to take this bishop, either I have to take this bishop, go down and exchange, or play knight d5, or play bishop e5. I cannot imagine it's one of it has to be one of these three moves. Hmm. Okay. I have no clue, so I'm gonna try knight d5. Yeah, I think I should end this session now. What is the answer, sir? Take. Let him take with check. And that's it. Why is this so good? Oh my god, what kind of puzzle is this? Half of the people got it right. So black is winning, huh? What did I get wrong about this? Why is this so good? I don't understand. I have... I don't understand. What if he plays this? Bishop d4. Okay, so I'm threatening f2, okay? Is that the big idea? That I'll be threatening f2 next? What if I try to defend f2? Bishop e5. Okay, so then I'm threatening mate. My dark square bishop is just too strong, huh? Wow, that's rough. That's hard. Okay, let's try one. Black to play. Let's see. Queen h2 looks like the obvious move. Queen h2, king f1, queen h1 check, king to e2. I could take the rook, but probably should take on g2 instead. Check. They go to d3. And then I should take this rook, the rook on f1, f3 that is. Yeah, I think that is correct. Or let's think now. Okay. I was thinking queen takes f3, but does queen g1 check lead to anything? He goes rook f1. I don't think it does. I'm gonna take. Or am I wrong again? Let's see. Or do I go for a perpetual? Because if I take the rook, he takes my knight. I could go check, but then he blocks. So I don't know if there is a perpetual. I should take. Okay. And now I should take the other rook, I guess, is the point. Okay, fine. I'm gonna end this session here. I'm very disappointed with the way it has gone. I have to be honest. Okay. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed me struggling. See you next time, guys. Bye.